Alright guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today. For this one, we are going to do another out and about video for you. So I'm still in Budapest in Hungary, and we're going to check out this place behind me, which is Unity Bar and Brewery. A lot of people have recommended this place to me, and they seem to be specialists in hazy IPAs and smoothie sours, which are two styles that I do really quite enjoy. They're quite a new brewery. They're founded only in 2023, and I'm just very curious to see how this one goes. So we'll do as we always do. We'll go in, we'll have a look around, we'll try some of the beers, we'll try some of the food, and we'll have a good time. But I've been really enjoying making these Hungarian videos for you, so let's get started on another one. Catch you guys in a second. Alright guys, so yeah, this is the exterior of Unity Bar and Brewery. So yeah, this is Kirali Utka, Kirali Street basically, if you translate it into English. If you head up this way, you're going to find a lot of embassies, and you'll eventually get to the city park, which is quite nice. And if you head down that way, you're going to go back to the more kind of commercial area of the city. But it's quite an unassuming building, this one. There's obviously some apartments and stuff like that upstairs. But yeah, you can see Unity Bar and Brewery there. 9 beer taps, some canned beers and spirits and things like that. There's another bar next door, which the tourists seem to quite like. But yeah, you come inside. You can see on the left here, they've got Unity up there, which is quite nice. The bar is over here, and they've got lots of cans and spirits and things like that, and they've got a nice back room as well, which is quite nice. So yeah, bunch of artwork and things. They've got the big TVs, I guess, which is probably very useful for the World Cup. And I'm not sure exactly where the brewery is, because this is a bar and brewery. Might need to ask about that. But yeah, it's quite nice. We came right after starting. We're here on a Saturday, the 11th of July. So it's a nice spot, this one. But I've enjoyed all the Hungarian places I've visited so far. And Amanda's chilling over here, waiting on the next beer.
Yes.
So yeah, we've been filling over here. I keep knocking this little beer thing, and there we go. So let's get started on the next beer. Alright guys, well, time for tasting number 1 then here at Unity Brewery in Budapest. So yeah, as I always do in these videos, we're going to start with something nice and light, and it just so happens they have a nice Czech Pilsner on the menu. So this one is called Just a Lager, comes in at 4.7% ABV. It's also gluten-free apparently. They have 2 different cans in the fridge, and apparently it's the same beer. They just don't really advertise it as being gluten-free, but there you are. So yeah, when the beer came out, it had about 1.5 fingers of a frothy, kind of cream-coloured head. You can see that this one, it's actually one of the slightly more amber coloured pils that I've seen over the last little while. So remember, the colour of your beer depends on a few things. 1, the type of malts that you use. This goes a long way to determining your EBC rating. 2, length of your wort boil is going to play a role, because the longer you boil the wort, the more the sugars caramelise, thus you get a darker coloured beer. Any barrel aging you do or adjuncts you put into the beer will affect its colour as well, but you don't really have to care about that with the lager styles, the family of lagers if you like. So technical definition of a lager, of course, is that it's a beer fermented using bottom fermenting yeast, lower temperature fermentation, usually like 8 to 12 degrees Celsius, something like that. And the Pilsner is of course part of that family. This style of course originated in the Czech city of Pilsen, which at the time was part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. It was a Bavarian brewer who did it. He got kicked out because he wasn't very nice, basically. And then that beer became Pilsner Urquell, Plzeňský Prastroj, as the Czechs call it. So yeah, that's all the kind of technical stuff you need to know about the kind of styles and lagers and all of this. But this one, as I say, it's one of the more amber-leaning pils that I've come across recently. Has got a bit of nice natural haze to it, and it looks very, very nice. Don't think we need to say much more about the appearance of it. Let's have a wee look at the nose then and see what we get out of this one. Okay, right, so one of the things I've always talked about on the channel is maybe the difference between the German Pilsner and the Czech Pilsner is that the Czech ones tend to be a little bit more sort of smooth and creamy and yeasty. The German ones are a little bit kind of drier and crisper, I would say. And this one definitely shows you that more kind of smooth, yeasty character, which I do quite like. So yeah, you can smell that like right away with this one. It gives you everything you'd want from the style, like a little tiny bit of dried fruit, nice green component, good nice bready malty backbone, and you get that little bit of crispness in the top of the nose. So let's just break it down a bit more. The backbone of this beer, one thing I would say about it is it's a little bit more kind of brown bready leaning than white bready, right enough. But yeah, could just be the yeast, could be the type of malts they're using, not sure. But it smells pretty nice anyway. Backbone of the beer, you've got this lovely like fresh white bready bread crust in there, little tiny bit of woody character, quite a lot of like Jacob's cream cracker there as well. There's wholemeal brown bread, a little bit denser further forward on the nose, a little bit drier further back. And on top of that you've got the fluffy fresh white bread in there as well. Then you start to get the sweeter side of the beer. So for me, there's a little bit of straight up caramel coming out of this one. You've also got a little bit of toasty brown sugar in there as well. Some like McVitie's digestive biscuit kind of cookie type characters. And yeah, further back in the nose you get that crisp Pilsner malty character coming out of this one. So yeah, malty side of this beer is really quite nicely done. Yeah, so yeasty side of the beer. At its core, it's a little bit like a buttery wholemeal brown bread. As you move further out from that, it gets more white bready though, and the edge of your yeast is a little bit more like a kind of grainy, crackery, brown bready bread crust. So yeah, the yeast gives you quite a bit of dryness with this one. The Pilsner malt's giving you crispness too, and the malt base is actually kind of quite sweet actually. So yeah, I think that's quite interesting. There's a wee spider's web there. But yeah, I think that covers the malty yeasty side of the beer. On the hoppy side of things, it's got a lovely green component to it, of course, and you know, if you drink German Pilsners versus Czech ones, what you will notice is that the Czech Žatec hop is a little bit spicier in its floral character. The German Hallertau and Tettnangers tend to be a little bit sort of like smoother, if you like. And this one, it's interesting because it does actually come across as being that little bit smoother, but they're calling it like a Czech Pilsner. So yeah, but your green component, it's got a lovely little bit of earthiness to it, bit of smooth woody herbally character, some nice floral aromaticity, a little bit of grassiness as well. It's actually quite bright in a sense, which I think is really nice too. Fruity side of the beer, as you'd expect, it's got a little bit of like dry apricot, see a little bit of like dry apricot, oily pear, sultanas, you know, like dry white green grapes, like sultana type notes, maybe a wee bit of like fresh green apple, something like that. So these are all things you'd expect from the style. So yeah, aroma wise it smells very, very nice. It's pretty much what we'd expect, of course, from this style too, but a wee bit more brown bready, I would say. I didn't actually show you this earlier, maybe the light's going to affect it, but you can see on this nice kind of stein that they've given me, you've got the Unity bar and brewery symbol there, so that is pretty cool. But yeah, let's have a taste of this one then and see what it's all about. So this one is called Just a Lager, comes in at 4.7% ABV, and they're describing this one as a Czech Pilsner. So there we go. Slange, skål, cheese, eggy shakers. Yeah, I still can't say it. Eggy. There we go. Ooh, that's pretty nice. I'll tell you straight away, it's got that lovely kind of crispness and dryness that you want from the Pilsner, but it is definitely a little bit more kind of brown bready, and you can taste that it's quite like small batch brewed. It's got a little bit of that kind of Pivovari Brauhaus kind of rawness to it. So yeah, that's good. It's a thumbs up from me. Let's just break it down then and describe it for you a bit more in depth. So yeah, middle third of your palate then. The backbone of the beer, you've got that lovely kind of wholemeal brown bready bread crust in there, and it's actually quite dry. The graininess in this beer is giving you quite a bit of dryness as well. As you move further forward on the palate, you've got a wee bit more of a kind of woody sort of note coming out of it, and then on top of that you get a kind of Swedish, Danish kind of knäckebröd type cracker there. So it's yeah, it's not quite cream cracker if you like, but yeah, it's got that lovely knäckebröd stronger cracker to it, if you like. Above that, you definitely get the wholemeal brown bready character. Again, it's a little bit denser and sweeter further forward, a little bit drier further back. Remember, sweeter flavours, sweeter and smoother flavours tend to come out a little bit further forward on your palate. More dry and bitter flavours tend to come out further back. And yeah, so you're noticing that with the brown bread. On top of the brown bread, you've got the fluffier white bread in there. Again, a little bit denser and sweeter further forward, a little bit drier further back. On top of that, you can feel the really crisp Pilsner malt. Actually, the Pilsner malt's a lot drier and a lot more prominent in the flavour than I was expecting it was going to be from the aroma. So it's actually almost dry to the same level as the German Pilsners would be, which is quite interesting. So you've got that Pilsner malty layer in there, then in the middle of your palate you get this little sweet alcohol circle. You can feel that wee bit of sweet caramel at the core. As you move further out from that, it's a little bit more kind of fudgy, and then yeah, you've got a bit of McVitie's digestive kind of biscuity note coming out of this one as well. So yeah, the malty base in this beer is really nicely done. As I say, a little bit more brown bready and a little bit kind of crisper almost, if you like, than I've had from other Czech Pilsners. But yeah, I like this. I do like this one. This is a good beer. So yeah, if you go to the back third of your palate, then you've got all those bready layers that we just talked about there, but the bread crust and the cracker are a little bit drier, the bready layers are a little bit lighter, taller, more airy and dry, and the Pilsner malt is really showing you the dryness there. But above everything else, you get the yeasty part of the beer, and a Czech Pilsner, that's quite important. So let's look at that. So yeah, yeasty side of the beer then. At its core, it's got a little bit of a kind of buttery wholemeal brown bready sort of note to it. As you move further out from that, like a fluffier, fresh kind of white bready character, then yeah, the very edge of your yeasty character, it's that really crisp Pilsner malty sort of note that comes out there, and some cracker and bread crust, and that really gives you quite a bit of dryness into the aftertaste. So your malt base is actually quite smooth, but it also shows you the crispness into the aftertaste. The yeasty side of this beer is really dry and very, very crisp, and definitely, yeah, back third of your palate, you can feel the flavours taller. As you move further forward into the middle third of your palate, it just kind of compresses down and squashes together that little bit more. So yeah, hoppy side of things then. This beer does actually give you quite a little bit of bitterness. You should expect at least about 30 IBUs out of a Pilsner, especially a Czech one. So in the back corners of the palate, you do get a nice little bit of earthy character coming out of the beer. As you move further forward, it's got a wee bit more of a kind of woody, herbally sort of thing. Then yeah, as you push further and further forward, it gives you that nice big spicy floral aromaticity that you would expect of the Czech Žatec or Sats hops. Of course, you've got Kazbak and all these other ones in Czech as well, but it's giving you that proper nice floral spiciness that you want from this style. And yeah, round the front curve of your palate, it's a little bit lighter and more grassy, wee touch zesty, but mostly kind of wet and leafy, I would say. So yeah, front third of your palate then, you've got the base there, which is all those bready layers we talked about, the bread crust, the brown bread, the white bread, wee bit of the Pilsner malt, and then on top of that you get that nice oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters roll their way out of the beer. So let's look at that. So yeah, fruity side of the beer for me, it's kind of like what we said in the aroma. It's like further back you get a little bit of a kind of sultana type flavour, you know, white, dry, green grape sort of things. As you move further forward, a wee bit more of a dry apricot-y note, some oily pear sitting on top of that, then there's a wee bit of a more citrusy, lemony, limey kind of character further forward, and that mixes in with the kind of, with the sort of grassy esters and the floral side of things at the front of your palate. So yeah, it's a really nice take on the lager beer, this one, and I think what I said about it in the aroma kind of has held up now that we've had a look at the flavour. It's got the nice crispness, and it's got the kind of crispness of a German Pilsner actually, but yeah, the spiciness of the Czech one, the yeastiness is there as well from the Czech beer too, but yeah, the German kind of Pilsner malty dryness is coming out of this one. So yeah, I really like this. So mouthfeel wise, yeah, for me, I'd say top end of light bodied, carbonation's very, very smooth. It's got a lovely sort of silky, slightly oily mouthfeel to it. So yeah, lovely silky, slightly oily mouthfeel. The malty backbone in this beer, I'd say a little bit drier underneath, smooth in the middle. You've got the Pilsner malty crispness in there further back, and then a wee bit of sweetness on top. Your IBU in this beer could be 30 or 40 IBUs, something like that. And yeah, you've got that nice little bit of oily fruitiness in there. But all in all, really nice take on the Czech Pilsner. A wee bit of German, you know, Pilsner malty crispness in there too, but everything else, the yeastiness and the hoppiness in this one is most definitely Czech. So yeah, I think we can leave it at that for this one, our first beer here. This was called Just a Lager, 4.7%. Czech Pilsner, very nice place to start. They've got a few other interesting things on the menu, so you'll see those in just a wee second. Cheers. Alright guys, well here is the tap list then here at Unity Brewery. So yeah, just for reference, we're here on the 11th of July 2026, and this is what they've got on. So let's just zoom in a little bit so you can see they've got an English porter, which sounds very nice. We'll probably finish on that one. They've got quite a few smoothie sours. This seems to be one of their kind of specialties there. So they've got raspberry, mango and passion fruit, apricot and passion fruit as well, then pineapple and strawberry, another hazy day, hazy IPA there, Just a Lager, 4.7% Czech Pilsner. We scroll down a little bit, they've got the Baby Hazy Day, number 2, 4%. Then they've got the Best Bitter at 4.5% ABV, and over here, 2 more smoothie sours. So yeah, blackcurrant and strawberry, and then melon and passion fruit. So yeah, quite a nice selection of stuff here at Unity Brewery in Budapest. So yeah, there you go, there's your tap list. Alright guys, well time for tasting number 2 then here at Unity in Budapest. So yeah, for this one we are going to start having a look at the IPAs. So yeah, this particular beer is called Another Hazy Day, number 19. So obviously they kind of do quite a few batches of this beer and change the hops up and tweak the recipe and so on. But yeah, comes in at 6% ABV, and as you can see, this one is a New England hazy, whatever you want to call it, IPA. So yeah, when the beer came out, it had a lovely kind of 2/3 finger of a frothy, perfect white head, and you can see that it's got this lovely kind of mango tropical juice colour to it. So yeah, remember, the level of haze in these beers depends on the oak content, wheat content, and to a degree what yeast you use. That can vary from beer to beer, brewery to brewery, and so on. But I will say that for a 6%er, this one is really quite impressively hazy. I've not come across a 6%er that's quite as hazy as this. Whether that's because it's come on tap or what, I don't know. But yeah, this one is pretty damn hazy for a 6%er, I have to say that. Not too much in the way of visible carbonation with this one. 1 or 2 bubbles sticking toward the side of the glass and a few just coming up toward the surface of the liquid there. And you can see you've got that nice ring around the edge of the glass there, just a light foamy layer kind of sitting on top. But yeah, it looks very nice, and this is pretty much in line with what we would expect from a New England hazy IPA. Now remember with the hazy IPAs, in their malt base they contain quite a bit of oat malt and wheat malt as well as the barley malt. West Coast IPAs tend to rely primarily on barley malt in their malt base. So yeah, that's one of the key differences. The way they're hopped as well is quite different, but we'll come back to that a little bit later on. But yeah, appearance-wise, there's nothing. I keep knocking this little beer glass here. Appearance-wise, there's nothing particularly surprising about this. The appearance of this beer when you consider what style it is. It looks very, very nice. So yeah, I don't think we need to say anything more about that. Let's have a wee look at the aroma of this one then and just see what it's all about. Oh, I'm going to say straight away, this smells really, really nice. Yeah, first impression of this one is that it's quite an oaty leaning New England IPA. And as I've said in many a New England review on the channel before, for me there's sort of 6 elements to consider about the malty and yeasty side of these beers. You've got the kind of farmhouse yeasty type character and the rye leaning grainy side of things. Those 2 elements are a little bit more common in New England brewed New England IPAs, because the style started off as like a farmhouse IPA. But as it's moved elsewhere and evolved, the focus is a bit more on wheaty bitiness, oaty creaminess, barley malt bread, and also the sweeter side of things. But yeah, this one is very much an oaty leaning New England IPA, which I have to say I do quite like. It does have a fair little bit of sweetness to it as well, but it smells absolutely awesome. So yeah, the backbone of this beer, you've got a lovely sort of fresh white bready bread crust in there, some little element of woodiness as well. Some Jacob's cream cracker sitting on top of that. There's a tiny little bit of like wholemeal brown bread in there. Again, it's a little bit denser further forward, a wee bit drier further back. Those four elements do give you a little bit of kind of dryness into the aroma, and I think that goes together really quite nicely. On top of that, you get the fluffy, fresh, white bready character. Again, denser further forward, a wee bit drier further back. Then yeah, you can smell the wheaty notes coming out of this one. The wheaty white bready character is a little bit denser, of course, smoother further forward, a little bit bitier further back, and then of course you get the really nice oaty, creamy notes coming out of this one as well. And of course, oats are quite an interesting thing when it comes to New England IPAs, because essentially they can be a fairly good indicator of how fresh your beer is. So yeah, basically the fresher your beer is, the creamier the oats are going to smell and taste, the older the beer is, the drier they're going to be. And yeah, this one's lovely and oaty and creamy, so that means it's very fresh. But when it's on tap at the brewery, you wouldn't expect anything less, to be quite honest with you. Yeah, so yeah, lovely oaty creaminess to this one, and as I said, that's where this beer really leans, to be honest with you. On top of that, there's a little bit of like Werther's Original butter candy butterscotch, and a wee bit of like McVitie's digestive biscuity kind of character coming out of this one. So yeah, there is a little bit of that kind of Skittlesy, sort of sherbety type aroma coming out of this one. Like it has got a little touch of that brew sugar in it, I think, but that is quite nice. Yeah, so the way that this one goes together is really quite nice. As I say, quite oaty leaning, but it does have that little degree of sweetness to it. But yeah, malty side of this beer really is very nice. At the back of the nose, you start to get the yeasty side of this one. And it smells oddly familiar. Maybe they're using like a verdant yeast or something like that in here, because there's just something about this that feels a little bit nostalgic for me. But yeah, the yeasty side of this beer, at its core, it's got a little bit of a kind of buttery, wholemeal brown bready sort of thing. As you move out from that, it's like a very airy, fluffy, fresh white bread. And then yeah, you've got some bread crust and a little bit of like cracker there. So the yeasty side, the malty base in this beer is actually really quite smooth and creamy. The yeasty side of this one's a little bit kind of drier, I would say. But yeah, it smells great. So on the hoppy side of things then, this one incidentally contains Hallertau Blanc from Germany. It's about 12% alpha acid, and it's known for its like white, green, grapey gooseberry sort of notes. Basically Germany's answer to Nelson Sauvin from New Zealand. You've got Nectaron in there, which is a New Zealand hop, about 10-12% alpha acid, kind of depends, but it's known for like peach, pineapple, and your sort of tropical fruit notes. Then you've got some Nelson Sauvin in there, New Zealand as well, 16% alpha acid, and it's known of course for that big distinctive white, green, grapey gooseberry note in there. So good selection of hops in this one German, 2 Kiwi. And yeah, the fruity and hoppy side of this beer is pretty much exactly as you'd expect if you know these hops. So yeah, the green component of this one, you can smell definitely, there's a tiny little touch of smooth earthiness in there. That's going to be your Hallertau Blanc that gives you that typical German noble character. Regardless of how high you go in alpha acid with the German hops, they're always going to give you that noble green component. At least I've found that over the years. There's a little bit of woody herbally note going on with this one, some floral aromaticity, and a nice little bit of kind of grassiness in there as well. The green component in this one is very, very nice. So remember, when you brew an IPA, you've got 3 types of hoppings that you can do. You've got early addition hopping, which takes place within the first hour or so of the wort boil. That gives you the vast majority of your bitterness and a deeper, danker green component. You've got late addition hopping, which takes place within the latter half hour or so of your wort boil. Gives you a little bit of bitterness, mainly flavour and aroma, and a very bright green component. Then you've got dry hopping, which takes place after the wort boil is complete, and that's all about flavour and aroma, and it gives you a very bright green component. So West Coast IPAs tend to use all 3 types of hopping, which is why they're deeper, danker, more oily and bitter, whereas New England IPAs tend to rely on late addition and dry hopping, which is why they're a bit softer and more juicy. You've also got to think about the use of like cryo oil and hop oil products in IPAs these days, which has really smoothened out the green component of these beers quite considerably actually. So yeah, lots of things to think about there, but the green component in this one is very, very smooth, and it's pretty much what we would expect from a New England IPA. So yeah, for me, the fruity side of this one is kind of what you'd expect again if you know these hops. So yeah, how would you say, you're getting a little bit of the kind of, there's definitely a little bit of peach in there, some passion fruit I would say as well, also a wee bit of like pineapple and apricot. That's going to be your nectaron that gives you that. And of course further forward you've got that white green grapey gooseberry note. That's from the Nelson Sauvin and also from the Hallertau Blanc that's in there. So yeah, aroma wise it smells awesome. Let's have a taste of this one and just see what it's all about. I think this is going to be great. So yeah, another hazy day, number 19, 6% hazy IPA. Let's see what this is all about. Slange, skål, and cheers. Egge Jägerje. I still can't say it. Eggy. There we are. Ooh, that's very nice actually. Interesting little bit of dryness from it. The back end, you can feel it. It's very, very fresh. So you can still feel it. It's got this almost kind of oaty, oatmeal-y dryness into the aftertaste, which is quite interesting, actually. So yeah, I like that about it. It's quite unique. And again, it's probably just because it's very small batch and very small batch brewed. So it's got that little bit of kind of Brauhausy rawness to it, which I think it's always quite nice when you visit little breweries like this and you get that. So yeah, let's break it down. Middle third of your palate then, we'll start there as we always do. The backbone of this beer, you've got that lovely fresh kind of white bready bread crust in there. Further forward you get a little bit of woodiness. I always get a wee bit of woodiness on the palate. You've got some Jacob's cream cracker kind of sitting on top of that. Then you get a very slight layer of wholemeal brown bread again. It's a little bit denser and sweeter further forward, a wee bit drier further back. Those four elements combine together to give you that little bit of dryness into the aftertaste with this beer. So yeah, it's very, very nice that. On top of that, you get the fluffy, fresh, white bready layer from the barley malt. And yeah, again, it's denser and sweeter further forward, a little bit drier further back. Then you can feel the wheaty layer on this one. And I will say that the wheat in the flavour is a little bit more prominent than it was in the aroma, actually. So you've got that lovely smooth wheaty character further forward, the more dense white bread. Further back it's got a little bit of bitiness, and yeah, that does get bitier and bitier the further back that you go. On top of that, you get the oaty side of the beer. So down the middle line of your palate, you've got that lovely oaty creaminess there, and as you go out toward the edges of your palate, it's got a lovely kind of almost like powdery, dry oaty character, which I think is quite interesting. So yeah, the oaty side of this beer is quite nice. I will say as well, it's less kind of brown sugary sweet in the flavour than it is in the aroma, this one actually. But in the middle of the palate, yeah, you can feel that little sweet circle there, and it's a little bit of like Werther's Original butter candy butterscotch, just surrounded by a wee bit of kind of McVitie's digestive biscuit there, and that is of course the alcohol coming out the beer. The alcohol is going to give you those kind of brown sugary flavours. But I do, you know, I will be quite straight on that. This is not a sweet New England IPA. It is a more oaty, kind of creamy and smooth take on the style. Let's be very clear about that. But yeah, I think that covers the malty side of the beer. Let's go to the back third of your palate then. So yeah, the back third of your palate has all those bready layers that we've just talked about, but of course the bread crust and the crackers are a little bit drier. The brown bread, white bread, and more dense sweety white bready character, those are all a little bit lighter, taller, more airy and dry, and there's just a wee bit more dryness out of the oats there. But above everything else, you've got the yeasty side of the beer. So let's look at that. So yeah, yeasty side of this beer for me, at its core, knocking it again, at its core it's got a little bit of that kind of buttery wholemeal brown bready character. As you move further out, it's got a more airy but slightly sweet white bread, and the very edge of your yeasty character is like a more dense white bread, and the very edge of it, it's a little bit more bread crusty and a bit more sort of crackery, I guess you could say. So yeah, the way that that goes together in this one is really quite nice. The yeasty character, like I said, gives you a wee bit more dryness into the aftertaste, and the malt base of this one is a little bit smoother and, as I say, very, very slightly sweet. But let's go to the hoppy side of the beer then. Back corners of the palate, you've got a nice little bit of earthiness in there. And it's actually a little bit more prominent in the flavour than it was in the aroma. When you move further forward, there's a wee bit more woody, kind of herbally character there. And yeah, further forward, it gets a little bit more floral and aromatic and spicy. I do think there's T90 pellet in here. You can taste it's just got a little bit more of that floral note. It's not quite as smooth as it would be if there was like cryo oil used in here. But yeah, round the front curve of your tongue, it's just a little bit lighter and more grassy and zesty, if you like. So yeah, green component's pretty much what you'd expect. But let's go to the front third of your palate then, and the fruity side of things, just to kind of round off then. So the base of that front third of your palate is all the bready layers and crackery layers and stuff that we talked about earlier. But on top of that, you get that nice oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters just roll their way out of the beer. So let's have a wee look at that. So yeah, fruity side of this beer, again, it's pretty much what we described from the aroma, to be honest with you. And if you know the 3 hops that are in here, it gives you what you'd expect too. So further back on that front 30 palate, there's a little bit of peach on top. There's a little bit of peach on top. There's a little bit of juicy mango underneath, some passion fruit there. As you move further forward, there's apricot and pineapple. All that tropical side of this beer is coming from the nectaron. And yeah, as you move further forward, you get the white, green, grapey, gooseberry notes from the Nelson Sauvin and from the Hallertau Blanc that's in there. There's maybe just a little touch of lime behind the very front tip of the tongue too, mixing in with maybe a bit of lemon lime actually, mixing in with the grassy esters there. So that's pretty nice. But yeah, mouthfeel wise then. Yeah, mouthfeel wise for me, this beer, I would say it's for me, it's kind of top end and mid-bodied. Carbonation does have a wee bit of crispness to it in this one, but overall it's actually quite smooth. It's a slightly drier take, I would say, on the hazy IPA compared to some other ones that I've had. The IBU, I think, is a wee bit higher too. This is maybe about 40 or 50 IBUs. It could just be because it's very fresh off the tap, so maybe there's just still a little bit of that kind of green thing going on. But yeah, I want to say about maybe 40 or 50 IBUs in this one. Malt base is a bit drier underneath, smooth in the middle, slightly creamy and sweet on top, but of course the oats in this one, I think, because it's straight off the draft, does give you a little bit of dryness, and yeah, you've got that lovely juicy fruity character to it as well. So yeah, I think this goes together really nicely. This one was the Another Hazy Day, number 19, Nectaron, Hallertau Blanc, and Nelson Sauvin in this one. So just goes to show you, they can also do some very good hazy IPAs here. But yeah, let's leave it at that for this one, and we'll go on to something else in a little minute. Cheers. Alright guys, so as is the case with any good craft brewery, they've got a fridge where you can take away some goodies. So yeah, let's zoom in a wee bit and have a little look. So yeah, they've got their own cans at the top here. You can see they've got a couple of the different Another Hazy Day versions over there, the number 17 and the number 18. Then they've got the Baby Hazy Day, number 2. They've got the Best Bitter, and then over here they've got the Just a Lager. So like I said in the tasting video that I did, the beer itself is actually gluten-free. They don't really advertise it, so they've kind of got 2 different labels for the cans actually. So yeah, same beer though apparently. Yeah, if you come down here, there's a bunch of beers from Brew Your Mind, a Hungarian brewery that I've never really encountered until now. So yeah, over here they've got Cinnamon and Mac, an oatmeal stout, Only Memories IPA, Safe Choice, another IPA, Love Riwaka Session, or Love Session Riwaka, a Session Hazy IPA, an American Pale Ale, Yellow Haze, Bright Lies, another IPA, and then Small Dreams, another IPA as well. So yeah, quite striking artwork, I have to say. And of course they've got a few classic Belgians, some La Trappe, some Delirium, some Bacchus, a brewery that I've seen a fair little bit of actually in the supermarkets and things, the Megias. They've got some Orval there as well, and another brewery there called Majdnem. Majdnem, is that how I pronounce it? Hungarian's a crazy difficult language to pronounce. They've got another one there called Shutout Pale Ale, that's a gluten-free beer. Then of course they've got the Dam as well. So yeah, they've got some really nice different craft beers in the fridge here, so there you are. Alright guys, well, time for tasting number 3 then here. at Unity Brewing. So for this one, we are going to have a look at a style that, in all honesty, is not my favourite style of beer. It's a style that I just tend to avoid, to be honest with you, but curiosity has gotten the better of me because I've never tried a Hungarian brewed example of this style, and to be honest, this is a style I've found that is done a little bit better outside of its home country, to be honest with you. So yeah, I'm just very, very curious about this one. So yeah, beer number 3 is the Best Bitter. Comes in at 4.5% ABV, and yeah, this one is an English bitter. So yeah, like I say, I don't really drink that many English bitters because, you know, in Scotland we had the Scotch ale, which for me just has a much nicer flavour, a bit more brown sugary and bready and things. I just don't drink all that many English bitters. The best ones I've had were actually from Närke and Nynäshamns in Sweden, because they used American hops rather than English hops. Kind of go figure. For me, English hops work a little bit better with like porters and stouts and things like that because of their earthy nature. So yeah, I think in even brown beers and red beers and stuff, they just don't quite fit. But yeah, let's have a little taste of this one then, or have a look at this beer, I should say, and we'll just see what it's all about. So yeah, you can see that the beer poured with about a half finger of a frothy, I would say kind of fawn coloured foamy head. You can see it's got a nice sort of mahogany, unstained mahogany type colour to it. Kind of copper is maybe another way to describe this one. One or two bubbles sticking toward the side of the glass, a few little ones just kind of coming up toward the surface of the liquid there. But yeah, not too much carbonation visible. It's actually quite clear. I think you're just getting a bit of condensation on the edge of the glass there. But in terms of what you'd expect appearance-wise from English bitters, this sort of coppery mahogany type colour is pretty much just in line with it. So yeah, I don't think we need to say anything more about the appearance of the beer. Let's have a little look at the aroma of this one then and just see what it's all about. Oh yeah. So aroma-wise, it's actually pretty nice. So for me, it's giving you what you'd expect. Little touch of brown sugar, mostly a kind of white and brown bready grainy mix. There's a little bit of fruitiness to it, and yeah, just a little bit of like a grassy green component there. But let's go into it in a little bit more detail. So yeah, the backbone of the beer, you've got a lovely kind of wholemeal brown bready bread crust in there. There's a little bit of woody character as well, some Jacob's cream cracker, wholemeal brown bread for sure. Again, further forward it's a little bit denser and sweeter, further back it's a little bit drier. Then on top of that you do get some fluffier, fresh white bready character as well. Again, sweeter and denser further forward, a little bit drier further back. And then on top of that, some toasty brown sugar, a little touch of leathery brown sugar in there. And then yeah, you've got that nice kind of sweet, oily caramel. So you know, the malty base of this beer actually goes together really, really nicely, to be honest with you. The yeasty side of the beer then, at the back of the nose, for me, the yeasty side of the beer, at its core, it's got a little bit of that buttery wholemeal brown bready note to it. And as you move further out from that, a bit more of an airy brown bread, and the edge of your yeasty character is a little bit more like bread crust and cracker and things like that. So yeah, this is quite interesting actually. The malty side of the beer quite smooth and slightly sweet on top, and yeah, you've got that lovely wee bit of kind of just dry yeasty character coming out of this one, which I think goes together really, really nicely. So yeah, malty yeasty side of this beer gets a big thumbs up from me. Yeah, let's go to the hoppy side of things then. So in these beers, you're most likely to use like East Kent Goldings, maybe a little bit of Bramling's Cross to get a bit more fruitiness. Really just depends what you want to do. But yeah, for me, green component in this one, you've got a little bit of that more kind of dry earthiness that you'd expect of English hops. Quite a bit of the woody, herbally sort of notes coming out as well. For me, it's the earthy and herbal, woody sort of thing that's very distinct with English hops, and that's what makes them a bit better for darker beers, in my opinion. So yeah, English Gold Nails, really don't like those. I keep knocking this thing. But yeah, lovely little bit of floral aromaticity, some nice grassiness in there as well. And yeah, the way that that goes together is really, really nice. So the green component's pretty much what you'd expect. The fruity side of the beer, it's got a little bit of a raisiny note to it. Like there's a little bit of that sharper raisin in there. Some like prune, I would say. A little bit of date, little bit of sultana, wee touch of figgy note. And then yeah, there's maybe a little bit of like black currant in there as well. So yeah, the way that this one goes together, I think, is really, really very, very nice. So yeah, I like that with this one. Aroma wise, it gives you everything you'd want from the style. It smells absolutely great. So yeah, I'm hoping this one is like the Närke Kulturbryggeri and Nynäshamns Ångbryggeri bitters that I had back in Sweden. They used American hops, but I think this one is quite authentically English, but we'll see how we go. So yeah, best bitter, 4.5% ABV. Let's give it a go. Eggy, cheers, skål, whatever we want to say. Okay, so I'm going to say straight away, this is actually pretty nicely done. Like I said, it's not a style that I tend to go for all that often, but I will say that it's nicely done. Like this is better than a lot of English brewed bitters that I've had. For me, again, a lot of the English bitters, they taste a little bit like dirty water, to be honest with you. But this is actually a lot better and a lot purer than some of the ones I've had from England. So, you know, thumbs up to Unity for that. They've pulled this beer off quite nicely. It actually reminds me to an extent of some of the German Märzens or some of the Czech, like Letzak, kind of more copper lagers that I've had. So yeah, it's a really nicely done English bitter, this one. This one I could drink. So yeah, as I say, they've done a nice job of this. I can drink this English bitter, that's already a positive for me. So yeah, let's break it down, describe it for you a bit more in depth, and we'll see how we go. So yeah, middle third of your palate then. The backbone of this beer, you've got that lovely wholemeal brown bready bread crust in there. Further forward, you get a little bit more woody character out of it. On top of that, there's like a Swedish-Danish knäckebröd cracker, so it's got that little bit of a stronger, more grainy cracker to it, which I think is nice. And then yeah, on top of that, you start to get the more wholemeal. It's almost a little bit rye bready actually. It's like a kind of grainier rye bread, and those four layers just give you that little bit more dryness out of the beer. But yeah, on top of that almost rye bready character, you get a more wholemeal brown bready note, or more wholemeal brown bready layer, a more white bready layer on top of that, and then yeah, you've got the toasty brown sugar, the leathery brown sugar, and then yeah, you have the little boozy circle in the middle of your palate there. So there's kind of sweet caramel at the core. As you move further out from that, it's got a little bit more of a almost kind of fudgy note, and you've got a bit more of a kind of McVitie's digestive biscuity kind of character coming out of the beer. A little bit more nuttiness also, which I think is quite nice. So the malty base in this beer is really, really nicely done, and that gets a big thumbs up from me. Like I said, this beer is a lot better quality than some of the English brewed bitters I've had. So yeah, that for me is very positive. So it's almost up there with the Swedish ones I've had. The Swedish ones used Cascade hops from America, which I think just gave it a little bit more fruitiness. And I think that worked very well with the style. But I think they've done a really good job of this. And As I say, it was a style that I tried just out of curiosity. I don't like this style normally, but yeah, they've done a damn good job of this. So yeah, let's go to the back third of your palate then. So the back third of your palate, you've got all those bready layers like we said, just different intensities. Above everything else, you've got the yeasty side of the beer. At its core, it's got a little bit more of a buttery, kind of rye bready type character. As you move further out from that, you get a more airy wholemeal brown bread, and the very edge of your the very edge of your kind of yeasty character in this beer. It's a little bit more just like a kind of slightly toasty wholemeal brown bready bread crust in there. So yeah, the malty base of this beer is actually quite smooth, quite sweet, but it does give you that typical English bitter graininess into the aftertaste. The yeasty side of the beer is just that little bit more dry, and yeah, that you do get that grainy dryness into the aftertaste with this beer, as you would expect. And yeah, back third of your palate, the flavour's taller. As you move further forward, it just kind of compresses down and squashes together that little bit more. So yeah, all in all, the way that goes together is pretty nice. Let's go to the hoppy side of the beer then. So in the back corners of the palate, you've got a nice little touch of earthiness in there. As you move further forward, a little bit more of a woody, herbally sort of thing. The kind of trademark English hops coming out of this beer, of course, East Kent Goldings. Not quite Fugels, I don't think. It's not quite ashy enough to be Fugels, I think. But yeah, a little bit of Bramling's Cross. As you move further forward, it gets a little bit more kind of floral and aromatic, and then round the front curve of your tongue, it's just that little bit lighter and more sort of grassy, if you like. So yeah, all in all, the way this one goes together, I think, is really very, very nice, and that gets a big thumbs up from me on the hoppy side of things. Fruity part of the beer, front third of your palate, you've got all those bready and crackery layers underneath that we talked about. Then you get that nice oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters roll the way out of the beer too. The fruity side of this one for me, yeah, further back you get a little bit of there's a little touch of like plum in there, and some prune underneath, a bit of date and a bit of sultana. As you move further forward, very, very slightly figgy, and then yeah, into the front half of that front third of your palate, it's a little bit more sort of black curranty and sort of berryish. So yeah, a little bit of black currant, I think. So yeah, the way that goes together in this one, I think, is really quite nice. The fruity side of the beer, it's more sultana, oily peary and things like that are coming out of this one. So yeah, all in all, the way it goes together, I think, is really very, very nice. So very well done English bitter, this one, flavour wise. Mouthfeel wise, for me, this beer, I would say that it's kind of mid-bodied. Carbonation does have a degree of crispness to it. It's actually quite a clean beer, this one. The English ones that you're likely to drink are a bit warmer than this, and that gives them a bit more kind of smoothness, you know, the cask conditioning. This one's obviously keg conditioned, and I think that actually suits the style a bit better, to be quite honest with you. A lot of English people watching the channel might disagree with that, but whatever. That's my personal opinion. I think the German clean conditioning is a lot better than the English kind of warm, smooth conditioning. For me, that's just the thing. But yeah, IBU wise, I think this beer is maybe about 20 IBUs. Malt base is drier underneath, smooth in the middle, slightly toasty and sweet on the top, and just a little bit of fruitiness there. So yeah, this one was the best bitter, 4.5% ABV, an English bitter, much better than a bunch of the English brewed English bitters that I've had before. So let's leave it at that for this one. I'll catch you guys in a second with something else. Cheers. Alright guys, well, let's have a little look at the food menu then here at Unity. So yeah, they've got the German pretzel there. Again, remember that 1,000 Hungarian florins is about €3, £2.50 sterling, maybe about $3 25 cents, something like that. So yeah, that lets you make your price comparisons. But yeah, they've got the German pretzel there. You can get fries or sweet potato fries, onion rings, tofu sticks, chili cheese bites, Kentucky chicken strips, a nachos plate to share, a chicken strips meal, could be quite interesting, a smoked pork bun, pulled pork burger, barbecue chicken burger, pulled beef burger, and then a few different kind of sauces there as well. So it's quite a nice menu to match all the beers and things that you get here. So we'll order some food and we'll see what comes up and see what we like. So catch you in a second with that. All right, guys. Well, time for tasting number 4 then here at Unity. So for this one, we're actually going to have a look at 2 beers because I think they'll be quite similar and just very slightly different. But one of the specialities of Unity Brewing is that they do a lot of smoothie sours. So for this one, we're going to have a little look at the apricot and passion fruit smoothie sour. That one's 5.3% ABV, and we're going to have a look at the melon and passion fruit smoothie sour, and that one is 5.2% ABV. So yeah, my right hand is the apricot and passion fruit. My left hand is the melon and passion fruit. So yeah, we've got both of them here. We'll have a little look. You can see they're both very similar in colour. This one is a little bit paler. So that yeah, the apricot one is a little bit paler than the melon one, but yeah, these beers, again, the colour of these beers will be down to the malts that is used in them and also the different fruit adjuncts that you've got. So yeah, both of these beers, the passion fruit is going to give you a lot of the kind of yellowy, kind of tropical colour, and yeah, the apricot is going to contribute to that. The melon is going to make this one a little bit darker, of course. But yeah, you can see both of them very hazy, probably due to the presence of a lot of wheat and oat, and also a lot of fruit puree, which is very commonly used in this beers. There's a lot more carbonation visible in the melon one than there is in the apricot, right enough, and the apricot one also seems to be retaining its head a little bit better. You can see a nice kind of creamy foam, like yeah, creamy, slightly fawn coloured head on this one, whereas yeah, the melon one is just showing you a little bit of a kind of soapy, foamy sort of layer. So yeah, not sure if that's down to differences in the beer or maybe just the particular glass that we've used, but yeah, but you can see with this one as well, there's quite a little bit of like fruit particle just kind of sitting on the edge of the glass there. But basically the way I've split up the smoothie sours, we're going to do the more tropical leaning ones in this video, we'll do the more berry leaning ones in the next one. But yeah, both of them look very nice. We've seen smoothie sours that look like this before, so yeah, nothing surprising about the appearance of these 2 beers. So let's have a look at the aroma then of the apricot one. Oh, right, this is lovely. I mean, it's very, you know, the apricot and the passion fruit are both there, but I think the apricot and its kind of more fibrous nature really kind of form the backbone of the beer. So yeah, the passion fruits, yeah, the apricot kind of jumps out the glass at you a little bit more. The passion fruit just kind of sits underneath. And then yeah, if you look at the melon one, the melon one's actually a little bit more, it's kind of similar in a sense, but it almost smells a little bit more kind of earthy in a sense actually. So yeah, the melon, yeah, you can smell that melon just in the top of the nose a little bit more. The sort of fibrous nature of the fruits is there as well, and yeah, it's kind of interesting. But both of these beers, you do get a little bit of that kind of underlying breadiness and sort of yogurty character from these as well. So with the apricot one, it comes across, you know, both of the beers, when you smell them, they both have a little bit of that like white bready bread crust underneath. There's the kind of Jacob's cream cracker in there, a little bit of woodiness, a wee tiny touch of wholemeal brown bread, fluffy white bread, then a little bit of a more dense wheaty white bready character in there as well. But you've got that little bit of an almost kind of yogurty character coming out of these, and that's the kind of, how do you say, the sort of emulsification of the oats and the wheat kind of coming together, and they give you this almost like vanilla yogurty type character to the beer. So yeah, you can smell the yogurty side and the vanilla in this one a little bit more. So you can smell it a little bit more in the apricot one, whereas in the melon one, it's a little bit more subtle because of the slightly earthy and kind of woody nature of the melon. So yeah, malty side of these beers is actually quite similar, but I think the fruits are making different things come out of both of the beers. At the back of the nose, of course, you've got the yeasty part of the beer. So yeah, for me with the apricot one, it's a little bit more kind of, you do get a little bit more of a kind of grainy wholemeal brown bread at the core. As you move further out, it's a little bit more like a fluffy, airy white bread and a wee bit of cracker and bread crust. So yeah, the malty base of this beer is quite smooth, and the yeasty character is a little bit dry. And I'd say it's the same with this one, except the brown bready characters are accentuated a little bit more. Yeah, you've got that more graininess. It's got a bit more graininess at the yeasty core, and as you move further out, fluffy brown bread, and then yeah, that fluffier kind of that kind of drier brown bready, bread crusty character there. So yeah, in both beers, in both of these two, the malty base is quite smooth, but the yeastiness is actually quite dry. I'm going to say straight away as well, I don't think there's been hops used in either of these. Now, when it comes to brewing sour beers, the smoothie sours especially, it's always interesting to ask the brewer what their hopping mentality is. And if you go back to the OG sour styles of beer, you know, you've got the German Berliner Weisses and Goses, and you've also got in Belgium the Brussels Lambics and the Flanders Reds. So all four of those beer styles, of course, what the brewers would do is they would add older hops into the beer that had lost a little bit of their alpha acid potency, because they wanted to have that depth of flavour that the hops offered, but they didn't want the bitterness of the hops to kind of detract from the overall sort of sourness of the beer, which makes sense. And yeah, you can smell, and a lot of modern sour beer brewers, of course, they'll argue that if you put fruit into beer as an adjunct, it's going to suppress your green component anyway, so what's the point? But some brewers will, you know, go back to that older argument that, yeah, having the hops in there gives you a little bit more kind of complexity of flavour. So it really just depends what you want for your sour beer. But I will say with these ones, it smells like you don't have hops added into them. But yeah, you do still get a little bit of that kind of placebo, if you like. So with this one, I think there's a tiny bit of earthiness, a bit of woodiness as well, a little bit of grassiness, but yeah, you can really smell the fruit kind of pushing against that. So yeah, definitely with this one, a little bit of placebo, very little. That was the apricot, of course. If you go over to the melon, a lot more earthiness out of this one, more woodiness as well, and just a tiny little bit of like a leafy, grassy note in there. The fruity side of the beer, of course, this one you can smell the softer, juicier apricot and the more fibrousy passion fruit underneath. This one comes across as quite a bit more juicy, of course. This one, the melon, yeah, it comes across as a lot drier and a lot more earthy and things like that. But yeah, the passion fruit's in there, and the melon kind of gives you that slightly sharper character on top. So yeah, both smell really nice. As I say, these are the two tropical smoothie sours that they have on offer here. Let's go with the apricot first, because I think the apricot's probably going to be the slightly softer one. We'll taste this one first. So yeah, let's go on. Ooh, right. I'm going to say straight away, this is very, very nice. Again, with this is quite interesting for me, because I don't think I've had smoothie sours brewed on such a small scale before. So this one, it still has a little bit of that like Brauhaus kind of pivovari rawness to it, which is kind of interesting, because of course a lot of the smoothie sours that I drink are from, you know, breweries that are brewing like 1 million litres of beer a year and stuff like this, or a couple of 100,000 at least. This is really interesting because it feels that little bit more yeasty and that little bit more raw. But yeah, this apricot one is very, very nicely done. So yeah, let's look at the flavour. Backbone of the beer, yeah, got that fresh kind of white bready bread crust in there, a little bit of woody character further forward, the crackers there, a little bit of wholemeal brown bread. Those four elements do give you a little bit of earthiness, of course. Then yeah, you've got the fluffy white bread from the barley malt, and then you can feel that slightly yogurty character on top of that. I mean, further forward it's got a little bit of vanilla, of course. And yeah, that yogurty character's there. There's just a tiny little bit of like Werther's original butter candy butterscotch sort of sitting on top of that, and a wee tiny bit of biscuit surrounding it. So the malty backbone of this beer is really, really nice. At the back third, on the back third of your palate, you get the yeasty part of the beer. At its core, it's got a little bit more of a kind of Werther's original butter candy. Well, it's got a little bit of like a buttery wholemeal brown bread, and it's almost got a wee bit of that Werther's original butter candy butterscotchy sort of thing going on. As you move further out, it's more white bready, and the very edge of your yeasty character is more like a kind of brown bready bread crust with just a wee bit of cracker. So again, the yeast gives you that little bit of dryness. The malty backbone is really quite smooth. Hoppy side of the beer, the placebo green component in this case, yeah, there's a bit more earthiness in there. Well, there's a bit of earthiness, I say a bit more, bit of earthiness, bit of woodiness, some floral notes, some grassy character, and you can feel the passion fruit and the apricot just pushing back against that. I think the passion fruit's doing the sides of the palate a bit more, and then the apricot's pushing back against the front part of your palate. Of course, the front third of your palate, you've got all those bready layers that we talked about earlier, a wee bit of the yogurt and the oatiness as well. Then yeah, you can feel on that front third of your palate the passion fruit for me is sitting underneath, then the slightly sharper apricot is coming in on top and just giving you that little bit of sharpness into the aftertaste there. But both of these fruits are of course pretty fibrous, and you can really taste that in this beer. And I think it goes together really, really nicely, this one. So yeah, the apricot one gets a big thumbs up from me. Let's have a wee look at the melon one and see what we get out of this. But yeah, I'm going to say straight away, this one feels a lot lighter in its mouthfeel than the apricot one does. Whether that's down to the recipe or the fruit itself, I'm not 100% sure. This one was 5.2 compared to 5.3%. That one, you know, the apricot one tastes as if it's got a little bit more oat in it, to be honest with you. So it might not be the same base recipe. But yeah, with this one, again, the backbone of your beer, kind of more like brown bready bread crust there, further forward, a little bit woody, a little bit of cracker on top of that, some wholemeal brown bread. Those four elements again give you that little bit of dryness into the aftertaste. Then you've got a nice fluffy white bready layer from the barley malt, denser further forward, drier further back. Then you've got the more dense wheaty white bready layer above that, again smoother further forward, a little bit bitier further back. And then yeah, you get the yogurty character coming out of this beer. So this one, I feel it has a little bit less kind of vanilla character to it. The yogurt feels a little bit more kind of dry almost, and in the dead centre of your palate you can feel that little bit of like Werther's original butter candy butterscotch, but it's nowhere near as sweet in a sense. It's actually a lot drier, and it's just surrounded by a little bit more of a kind of biscuity, a little bit of a drier biscuity layer. So yeah, the malt base in this beer feels a lot drier than it did in the apricot one actually. So yeah, if you go to the back third of your palate, again you've got all those bready layers that we talked about, the yeasty characters there, and again the yeasty side of this beer to me feels a little bit drier almost. So yeah, the yeasty side of the beer for me, at its core, it's got a bit more of an earthy, woody sort of wholemeal brown bread. It's got a lot, yeah, there's a lot more woodiness in the flavour of this beer for me, which is quite interesting. So yeah, very, very woody. As you move further out from that, a more airy, kind of light wholemeal brown bread. Then the very edge of it's a little bit more bread crusty and sort of crackery, I would say. So yeah, the yeasty character in this beer gives you a lot more dryness, which I think is quite interesting. But yeah, the hoppy placebo green component, whatever you like, the back corners of the palate, there's a good little bit of earthiness in there. As you move further forward, a lot of woodiness out of this one, tiny wee bit of floral note and some leafy grassiness there, but yeah, you can really feel the fruit pushing back against that. I think on the sides of the palate, it's the melon doing it a lot more. The passion fruit does it further forward, which I think is quite interesting. So front third of your palate, yeah, you get all those bready layers that we talked about earlier, and on top of that you get the fruit. For me, the melon actually forms the base in this one, and it's got that really fibrousy, woody kind of character, and the passion fruit just kind of sits on top of it. So yeah, these two beers, despite being very, you know, from the same brewery, similar ABV, same style, they actually come across really differently, and they've both got passion fruit. This one obviously apricot, this one melon. It really just goes to show you how different these beers can be depending on what fruity adjunct you use. So for me, the apricot one, in terms of its mouthfeel, yeah, I would describe this one as being mid-ranged, full-bodied, lovely smooth carbonation, very silky, very creamy sort of mouthfeel. Your IBUs are going to be 0 in this one, I think, technically speaking. But yeah, the malt base is a bit drier underneath, smooth in the middle, very creamy, slightly sweet on top, and yeah, lovely juicy fruitiness to it. This one feels quite a bit more dry and quite a bit more kind of grainy almost. So yeah, it is lighter in its mouthfeel as well. So yeah, for me, this one I would say this is kind of bottom end of full bodied, maybe top end of mid bodied. Carbonation has a little bit of crispness to it. There's definitely a wee bit of active carbonation in there. It's kind of a more silky mouthfeel rather than being out and out creamy. Again, 0 IBUs probably, but this one does have a bit of dryness, so it makes you maybe think, yeah, 5-10 IBUs, something like that. Malt base is a bit drier underneath, smooth in the middle, slightly creamy and sweet on top, but yeah, a little bit almost toasty. And yeah, the fruity side of this beer is a lot more kind of woody and earthy because of the melons. So yeah, really interesting, this one. Two very similar beers in terms of recipe and style, but the flavours come out really quite differently. So yeah, doing a little comparison of these two has been quite interesting. And as I said, these are the two more tropical leaning smoothie sours that they have on tap here. They have got 3 other smoothie sours on tap, so we'll need to see how those kind of turn out actually. But yeah, this one was the apricot passion fruit smoothie sour, 5.3%, and this one was the melon passion fruit smoothie sour at 5.2%. Two very interesting beers, and I have to say they are very nice and very interesting to try. The smoothie sour brewed on such a small scale, because it does have that little bit more rawness to it. But let's leave it at that for this one, and we'll go on to something else in just a wee second. Cheers. Alright guys, so we've tried quite a few of the beers, we're hungry now, it's time for the food. So yeah, I went for the pulled beef burger, which I have to say looks very nice. They made a special burger for Amanda. I don't know if I've really mentioned it on the channel before, but Amanda's vegetarian, so they did a sort of special tofu kind of slice one for her, which is really cool. And then yeah, we got some of the chicken and a pretzel to have a look at as well. So yeah, let's have a little look at this. It looks very, very nice, I have to say. Right guys, let's have a little look at this food then, because I am very, very curious. So the pretzel came out really nice and warm, nicely salted. I'm guessing that they probably buy these in and just heat them up a little bit. I don't think these are going to be fully made on site. I'm open to being proven wrong though. Do let me know in the comment section below if I am wrong. But yeah, let's have a wee look at this. Oh yeah. Really nice, kind of soft, just that little bit of saltiness there. Exactly what you want. Yeah. Very, very good. I mean, they're Pilsner. Eat this with the Pilsner. You'll enjoy it. Yeah. Love it. Okay. You can't ask for much more than that. Soft pretzel. Really nicely done. Just a little bit of saltiness. It ticks all the boxes. What can you say? Let's have a wee look at these then. The sort of chicken fingers. I forget the exact name that they called these. But yeah, this looks very, very good. Chicken tenders, I think was what they called it. Kentucky chicken tenders. Something like that. You can see really nicely cooked, nicely seasoned. Looks absolutely lovely. Yeah, let's go for it. Oh yeah. Right. The meat itself is really nice. It's lovely and tender. You can taste that straight away. The coating on this one is very, very crispy. It's just got that lovely little bit of kind of peppery note to it, which I think goes together very, very well. Yeah, I really like that in this. I mean, this is really nicely done. They did actually offer on the menu like a chicken tenders meal, which I was tempted by, but I've heard their burgers are very good, so that was why I went for the burger. But yeah, that's very, very good. Right. Awesome. So, chicken tenders, really nicely done, lovely seasoning, good quality of meat. You can't ask for much more. Let's have a wee look at the fries then. So these are kind of paprika seasoned, from what I gather. Yeah, a little bit salty, a little bit paprika seasoned. Oh yeah. They do the trick. That's it. That's all you can ask for. Okay. Nice little bit of salt, nice little bit of paprika. That's it. So yeah, I was tempted by the pulled pork burger, but Milan behind the bar told me his favourite was the pulled beef. So decided to go for that. You can see they've got this lovely kind of sourdough bun, which I'm very curious about. But yeah, The pulled beef looks very, very nice, and yeah, you've just got that little bit of cheese to it, and there's some kind of sauce in there as well. I think it was a house burger sauce. I asked them not to put pickles on it because I'm just not a great fan of pickles, much to Amanda's disgust. But yeah, let's have a little taste of this then and just see what it's all about. I think this is going to be pretty awesome. Oh, okay. It's interesting, right? So, as you get with pulled pork, you've got that lovely kind of sweet, almost like hickory sort of thing. Yeah, the bit that I just took, let me just take a little bit of the meat out and try the meat on its own. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I've never had that before, where it's beef that's treated in the same way as pulled pork. So beef for me, it's not quite as sweet a meat as you're going to get than from pork. Pork's got a little bit more saltiness to it and just a little bit of a sweeter kind of taste. So it's quite interesting to try beef like this. Beef for me is a little bit drier, almost, and yeah, the kind of sweeter side of the sauce really kind of comes out of this. But yeah, you've got the cheesy stuff in there as well. The sauce is great too. Let's have a little bite of this bit over here with just the kind of beef and the cheese. Okay. Yeah, so the sauce is quite, it's got a little bit of that almost kind of Gouda type quality to it. I'm not sure exactly what kind of cheese it is that's in here, but yeah, it has a little bit of that almost Gouda type quality. The sauce just has a wee bit of the kind of Thousand Island sauce kind of vibe coming out of it. But all of it goes together really well. The bread on the bun's great as well. Yeah. Getting some of it on the side of my mouth here as well. But that's a lovely burger, and I do really like how that kind of goes together actually. So yeah, a lot of people told me the burgers here were very good, and I can see why they've told me that. So yeah, come and have a go at the burgers. I mean, look at that. That's absolutely lovely. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. And yeah, we're going to enjoy the rest of our food now. Do you like the tofu one?
Yeah, very good.
It's very good. Right, catch you guys in a second with probably our last beer. Cheers. Alright guys, so for the next tasting we are going to go to the kind of berry side of the smoothie sours that they've got on offer here. So 3 beers this time. So the one on the right is the pineapple strawberry smoothie sour, 5.2% ABV. In the middle we have the raspberry mango passion fruit smoothie sour, again 5.2% ABV, and the one on the left is the blackcurrant strawberry smoothie sour. That one is 5.3% ABV. So let's get started on these then. Okay guys, well let's get started then on tasting number 5 here at Unity Brew. So for this one we are going to do 3 beers, and for me it makes really quite logical sense to split the smoothie sours between the more kind of yellow tropical side of things and the more sort of red pinky purple berry side of things, and that's what we're doing here. So yeah, beer number 1 of course is the pineapple strawberry smoothie sour, I guess. Yeah, so you can see this beer pours a lovely kind of like tomato juice type colour, about a quarter finger of a frothy, kind of creamy coloured head there. Not a lot of visible carbonation this one, but you can see that it's very opaque. Again, that's due to the oat and the wheat and all the fruit puree that's in there. And yeah, you can see a little bit of the fruit particle just kind of floating around in this one. So yeah, pretty damn opaque, but I think tomato juice is probably a good way to describe the colour of this beer, but it looks very, very nice. Yeah, the next one up then, this is the raspberry mango passion fruit. This one has a little bit more of like a Heart of Midlothian burgundy football jersey colour to it. If you know your Scottish football, you will know that. So the beer has about a 1/3 finger of a frothy, kind of pink tinted coloured head there. Again, it looks very nice. You can see not much in the way of visible carbonation, very, very opaque, but you can see the fruit particulate just floating about in this one. But again, it looks very, very nice. And our last one is the blackcurrant strawberry, which is a very, very deep sort of burgundy, and you can see it's almost like a kind of purpley tinted head that you've got there. Quite a little bit more carbonation visible in this one. Whether that is the individual beer or just the glass that it's in, I'm not quite sure. But yeah, all 3 of these beers do look very nice. I'm not sure how well you're going to see them. There's 2. And there is the kind of 3rd one again. So yeah, let's have a little look at the pineapple strawberry one first off with the aroma, because this one I think should be very, very nice. Oh yeah, aroma wise, it smells absolutely great. It actually reminds me a little bit of one of the Yardley Brothers beers that I had quite recently. They did this yogurt smoothie sour, and this one's very much like that. Um, oh yeah, maybe in terms of aroma, this is maybe the pick of the bunch of all the beers that we've had from Unity so far. But it gives you everything you'd want from the style. You've got the nice big fruity notes out of it. You've got the bit of malty, bready backbone in there, the nice kind of creamy yogurty character, and just that little bit of placebo green component in there. So yeah, the backbone of the beer, fresh white bready bread crust, little bit of woodiness, Jacob's cream cracker in there, tiny little bit of wholemeal brown bread, and that just gives you those kind of four elements, give you that little bit of dryness. But yeah, fluffy fresh white bread, a more dense wheaty white bread as well, and you get some of that slightly yogurty character out of this one. But it's not too yogurty, this beer actually. Tiny little bit of like Werther's original butter candy butterscotch in there, wee bit of biscuit as well, but the brown sugary side of this one is very, very minimal. The yeasty side of the beer, at its core, a kind of buttery white bread, a fluffy white bread surrounding that, and a wee bit of a crackery white bready bread crust there. So the malty base is very, very smooth in this one. The yogurty side of the beer gives you that almost kind of creaminess, and yeah, the yeasty side of the beer is just that little touch drier. There's a little bit of hoppy placebo in this one, so you have got a wee bit of a kind of woody, earthy sort of note to this beer, but yeah, a little bit of floral note, a little bit of grassy note as well. But yeah, you can really smell the strawberry pushing against the grassiness, and the passion fruit pushes back against the woody sort of earthiness in this one. But yeah, fruity side of the beer, absolutely, you've got the kind of more fibrousy passion fruit underneath, and the juicy strawberry just sitting on top of that. And I think the way that that goes together is really nice in this one. That gets a big thumbs up from me. I really do like the aroma of this beer. That's the pick of the bunch of the smoothie sour so far from the aroma. Let's have a wee look then at the raspberry mango passion fruit one. Oh, now very, very different. Very, very different from the other one. This one's a lot more juicy and a lot more berry leaning, and I mean, with what's in there, we would kind of expect that. But yeah, this one again, you've got the fresh white bready bread crust, a little bit of the cracker, a wee bit of woodiness. The fluffier white bread's in there. There's more yogurty character to this one as well. I've got a feeling this one's going to be a little bit more creamy leaning than the others were. You've got that lovely kind of creamy yogurty note in there, quite a little bit of vanilla yogurty character coming out of this one. You know, it reminds me of those petit filou fromage frais type things that my mum put in my lunchbox when I was a little boy. So yeah, you've got that nice kind of vanilla fruity yogurt in there, tiny little bit of like Werther's original butter candy butterscotch of course on top, and a wee bit of biscuit. And yeah, that goes together very nicely. The yeasty side of this beer is quite similar to the other one. At its core, kind of buttery white bread, more fluffy, airy white bread around that, and the edge is like the edge of it is a little bit more along the lines of a dense white, like wheaty white bread, and a little bit of bread crust. So the yeast, again, the malt base in this one's very, very smooth, slightly sweet and creamy, and then the yeast just gives you that little bit of dryness. Again, you've got that kind of hoppy placebo effect with this one. I think, you know, this has got 3 fruits in it, so this is raspberry, mango, and passion fruit. The raspberry, I think, is pushing back against the grassiness, but the mango and passion fruit are pushing back against the kind of woody, earthy notes that the beer has. And of course, with the fruity side of the beer, the juicy, the kind of more fibrousy passion fruit sits underneath, then you've got the juicy mango, and the more tart raspberry just sits on top of that. So the juiciness out of this one, aroma-wise, is absolutely lovely as well. Let's have a wee look then at the black currant and strawberry one, because yeah, this is when you're going all berry. It's almost like a kind of gradient, if you like, little bit of berry, medium berry, full berry. So yeah, this one, oh, right. The strawberry, I think, for me, jumps out of the glass in this one. I was expecting a wee bit more from the black currant, right enough, but I've always found that currants are a little bit more mild in their aroma than berries are, to be honest. But yeah, this one doesn't smell a million miles away from the pineapple strawberry one, in fact. So yeah, these two have got very, very similar aromas actually. So yeah, the backbone of this beer, fresh white bready bread crust, little bit of woodiness, wee bit of cracker, tiny bit of wholemeal brown bread, fluffy white bread. Then yeah, you get the yogurty sort of notes sitting on top of that. Not too much vanilla out of this one, incidentally. Tiny wee bit of like Werther's original butter candy butterscotch. And then yeah, a little bit of a kind of biscuity note to the beer as well. The yeasty side of this beer for me, at its core, a bit more of a buttery brown bready character. As you move further out from that, fluffy white bread, little bit of kind of crackery note as well, and yeah, the yeasty side of the beer is quite smooth and kind of slightly drier, of course, but yeah, it goes together really nicely. Again, you've got that little bit of kind of green component placebo in there, tiny little bit of earthiness, wee bit of woody character, some floral notes, a little bit of grassiness, but yeah, the strawberry for me, well, both of the fruit, I think the strawberry's pushing back at the front of the nose against the grassy side of things, and then yeah, the more the strawberry's pushing back at the side, and then the blackcurrant is pushing back against the woody, earthy sort of side. But yeah, the berry notes on the front of the nose, they really kind of blend together a little bit. The blackcurrant is a little bit more fibrous-y for me, and the strawberry, the juiciness of the strawberry just sits on top of that. So all three of these have absolutely beautiful aromas. They smell great. I'll just tilt the camera a wee bit so you can have a wee bit of a look at them. There you go. And then yeah, we'll tilt it back up and we'll actually have a taste of these now. But beautiful smelling beers actually, and I'm curious to see how the more berry side of the smoothie sours here come out. So let's have a little look at the pineapple strawberry one first off then. So let's do it. Oh yeah, that's really nice. I mean, I did enjoy the tropical ones, but this, to me, this just feels like it's on another level. I keep knocking this beer glass. But yeah, this one just feels, I don't know, it just feels a little bit more refined. It's got a lovely yogurty, creamy kind of note to it. As I say, it reminds me of one of the Yardley Brothers smoothie sours that I had a couple of weeks ago back in Hong Kong. That's very good. So this one gets a big thumbs up from me. As I've often said, these kind of smoothie sour beers, they're quite straightforward in terms of their flavour. And I guess once you find a good base recipe for them, they're very easy to experiment with, but finding that base recipe is quite difficult. And you know, in Sweden we've got Elma Living, we've got Duck Pond. In Australia there's there's a One Drop Brewery. Those guys are very good. In Thailand, Samata. These guys, I mean, maybe, you know, they told me this is one of their specialties. I can see these guys, give them another year or two, can the beers send them out there? I think these will be very well respected as well. But yeah, this one to me, it just seems as if it's a little bit more refined than the tropical ones were. Although the apricot one was very close to that, actually, to be fair. But yeah, it just feels, the smoothness and the creaminess of this is very nice. It feels a bit less raw than the other two tropical ones did. So yeah, the backbone of this beer, a little bit more brown bready bread crust. Again, wee bit of woody character further forward. Crackery notes there, bit of wholemeal brown bread, again sweeter and denser further forward, a little bit drier further back. On top of that, you get the white bready character, again denser further forward, a bit drier further back. The yogurty notes are there, that nice creamy, oaty, wheaty emulsification, a little bit of vanilla further forward. Then yeah, in the middle of your palate, that wee bit of like boozy or sweetness, kind of Werther's original butter candy butterscotch at the core. As you move further out, wee bit more McVitie's digestive biscuit, but mostly it's a very smooth yogurty sort of note that comes out of this beer. On the back third of your palate, you've got all those layers that we just talked about. The yeasty side of the beer, at its core, more buttery wholemeal brown bread. As you move further out, more like a fluffy white bready sort of character, maybe very slightly like vanilla sponge cake, and the very edge is a little bit more like white bready bread crust and a bit of cracker there. So malty base is very smooth and slightly sweet. The yeasty character is just that little bit drier. This one, again, pretty sure there's no hops in this, but you still get that wee bit of placebo, tiny bit of earthiness, quite a lot of woodiness, wee bit of floral note, but quite a leafy, grassy note. And yeah, the strawberry's really pushing back against the grassy side of things. The pineapple is pushing back on the sides of the palate there. The front third of your palate, you've got all those kind of bready notes that we talked about. And yeah, the kind of, for me, the more fibrous-y nature of the strawberry kind of sits underneath, and then the juicier pineapple just kind of sits on top there, and that lingers into the aftertaste. So yeah, yeah, that's really nice. For me, that's the pick of the sours, the smoothie sours so far. Let's see if that holds up. So yeah, number 2 on the berry ones then. This is the raspberry, mango, and passion fruit smoothie sours. So yeah, this one. Yeah, this one, very, very different. Really quite juicy, really quite creamy. Yeah, this is a different vibe from the strawberry pineapple one. So yeah, it's a little bit sharper in terms of its flavour as well, actually. But yeah, very, very creamy, very, very smoothie, very, very oaty sort of leaning. So yeah, I do like how this goes together. And this is very, very good quality as well. So if you want a more kind of almost yogurty smoothie sour, you'd go for the pineapple strawberry. If you want a more straight up like smoothie berry sour, this one is probably going to be a bit more going to go a little bit. But then again, it is mango and passion fruit and raspberry. I think raspberry just takes these beers to a different level, to be honest with you. And the raspberry really dominates the flavour of this one. That's definitely fair to say. So yeah, let's break it down. The backbone of the beer, for me, this one, fresh white ready bread crust in there. Further forward, you've got a little bit more woody character, some Jacob's cream crackery notes on top of that. Then you've got the wholemeal brown bread, again, denser and sweeter further forward, a little bit drier further back, bit of white bread, and then yeah, you get that oaty, creamy, sort of yogurty note coming out of this one. So there's a wee bit more like vanilla yogurty character further forward, further back, yeah, it's a little bit kind of like a sweeter yogurt. Then on top of that, in the middle, your palate, you get that little boozy circle there. So a little bit like Werther's original butter candy butterscotch at the core, then surrounding that, it's a little bit more of a kind of biscuity note that comes out of it. So yeah, that goes together really, really nicely. So this one is a little bit creamier, a little bit sweeter, I would say, and yeah, very, very smooth. Back through your palate, you've got all these notes that we were talking about, but above that you've got the yeasty side of the beer. So let's look at that. Yeah, the yeasty side of the beer for me, at its core, again, a bit more of a buttery wholemeal brown bread. As you move further out, a bit more fluffy and white bready, and then yeah, you've got more of that kind of sort of vanilla sponge cake at the edge of it, a little bit like a cake edge almost, and it's a wee bit drier. So again, malt base in this one's very, very smooth, very creamy, but the yeasty side of the beer is just that little bit drier. On the hoppy side of things, again, no hops used in this one, but you can feel that the fruit is again kind of suppressing that a little bit. So in the back corners of the palate, you've got a little bit of earthiness in there. As you move further forward, there's a wee bit of a more woody note, some floral notes there, and some leafy sort of grassiness just kind of surrounding that. But you can really feel the raspberry pushes back against that on the front curve of your tongue. The mango and the passion fruit really pushes back against it on the side of your palate. On the front third of your palate, again, you've got all those bready layers there. You can feel the sort of fibrousy passion fruit is kind of forming the base. On top of that, the juicier mango and the sharper raspberry into the aftertaste. So yeah, quite a different vibe this one compared to the other one. The other one's a bit more yogurty. This one is a bit more straight up like a kind of fruity smoothie sour, if you like. So yeah. So yeah, that's the raspberry, mango and passion fruit fruity sour. This one was 5.2. But yeah, let's have a little look at the taste of the last one then. So this one is the blackcurrant and strawberry. So this one is fully berry, actually, and it, you know, a lot darker than the other ones too. So let's have a wee look at the flavour of this one. This was 5.3% as well, so a little bit heavier in terms of alcohol, but yeah, there we go. Ooh, actually, okay. Again, this one goes back to the more almost like yogurty kind of vibe that we had from the pineapple strawberry. So yeah, this is not, yeah, I like this one as well, but it is quite yeah. This one, I think I maybe like the pineapple strawberry best out of the three, but this is still very, very good as well. First impression of it is it's definitely a little bit sharper than the other ones is. but it's equally as juicy, and again, it's just very, very nice. A bit more white bready and creamy as well, actually. So yeah, let's break that down. The backbone of this beer, you've got that lovely fresh kind of white bready bread crust in there. Further forward, it's got a little bit more woody character to it. Jacob's cream cracker as well, it's really, really nice. Then on top of that, a little bit of wholemeal brown bread, very, very minimal. Again, denser further forward, drier further back. Then yeah, you've got that fluffy white bread on top of there. Again, denser further forward, drier further back. Then you get that nice yogurty layer on top, which is that yogurty layer on top is really nice. Again, a little bit more of a kind of vanilla, fruity kind of yogurt layer. The vanilla comes out further forward. The rest of it further back, I think, is really quite nice. But yeah, the yogurty character in this one's just a little bit more kind of creamy, I would say, than some of the other ones. In the middle of your palate, again, you get that little bit of like Werther's original butter candy, butterscotch. Just surrounding that, there's a wee bit more of a kind of biscuity sort of thing as well. And yeah, that goes together quite nicely. So this one's the creamiest, I think. I think this is actually the creamiest of all the smoothie sours we've tried so far. On the back third of your palate, you get all those bready layers there. Above that, the yeasty side of the beer. At its core, a bit more of a buttery white bread. As you move further out, fluffy white bread, and then yeah, the edge of it's a little bit more like really dense white bread, a little bit more of a kind of like vanilla sponge cake, and maybe a little touch of that kind of cake edge, crackery sort of dryness there. So the malt base, again, very smooth, very creamy, very slightly sweet. The yeasty character is just that little bit sort of drier, of course, as well. But yeah, again, you've got the hoppy placebo in this one. Pretty sure this doesn't have hops either. But yeah, the back corners of the palate, a little touch of earthiness there. As you move further forward, a wee bit more woody and herbal, some floral notes, and round the front curve of your tongue, it's a little bit lighter and more grassy. For me, the kind of black currant is pushing back against the grassy part of the beer. The strawberries pushing back against the sides of your palate there. So yeah, it is quite nice. But on top of that front, on that front third of your palate, you've got all the bready layers we talked about earlier, but you can feel the more kind of fibrousy strawberry sitting underneath, and then yeah, the juicier black currant just sitting on top of that. So yeah, this one's quite a different vibe from the raspberry mango passion fruit. It's a lot more similar to the pineapple strawberry. So maybe it's just the nature of the strawberries, to be honest with you. I think that's the kind of common factor, if you like. But yeah, really like this one. Yeah, so all three are very, very good. But I think for me, probably the pick of the bunch is the strawberry pineapple. That was really, really nice. So yeah, let's go back to that one for a final look at the mouthfeel then, now that we've tried all three. So yeah, for me, this one's probably top end of mid-bodied. Carbonation is very, very smooth, lovely silky mouthfeel, probably 0 IBUs. Malt base is drier underneath, smoother in the middle, lovely and creamy, very slightly sweet on top. And yeah, beautiful, beautiful beer, this one. For me, I think this is the pick of the bunch, to be honest with you. This one is the one that really kind of stands out, actually. The pineapple strawberry is probably my favourite one. The raspberry mango passion fruit, this one feels a little bit lighter and a little bit wetter, but again, it's a really creamy, silky mouthfeel you get out of this. I'd probably say that this one is, again, probably mid-bodied, but probably still quite full-bodied if you think generally. But for a smoothie sour, definitely a bit more kind of mid-bodied. It feels that little bit smoother. And I really like this. Again, 0 IBUs, malt base is drier underneath, smooth in the middle, creamier and slightly sweet on top, and yeah, lovely juicy fruitiness, this one. I think this goes together nicely, but the raspberry dominates this for sure. And then our last one, the blackcurrant strawberry. Yeah, for me, this one kind of goes back to the same vibe as the pineapple strawberry. It's got a little bit more of a yogurty kind of feel to it. A little bit more like a kind of, these two are a little bit like kind of iced smoothies. Yardley Brothers Brewery in Hong Kong always did these kind of iced sort of smoothie sours, and these two remind me of that. So yeah, this one is kind of top end to mid-bodied, bottom end to full-bodied. Again, smooth carbonation, lovely sort of creamy, almost like an iced smoothie. Malt base is drier underneath, smooth in the middle, slightly sweet on top, and again, probably 0 IBUs. But all three of these have been really good. But yeah, for me, the pick of the bunch is the pineapple strawberry, and that just is down to personal preference. I think this is really nice, but it's closely followed by this one, the blackcurrant strawberry. So maybe when it comes to smoothie sours, these guys are a little bit better at the berry ones than they are at the tropical ones. These two just strike me that little bit more actually, and yeah, again, that's just down to personal preference. So yeah, that was tasting number 5 then here at Unity Brewing. We had the pineapple strawberry, the raspberry mango passion fruit, both of those at 5.2% incidentally, and we had the blackcurrant strawberry smoothie sour, 5.3% ABV. All very good beers, but pineapple strawberry does it for me. Let's leave it at that for this one, and we'll go on to something else. Cheers. Alright guys, so a little bit of a random thing then. This is Milan, who has looked after us very, very well. I've seen him pouring a lot of these for people. So what volume is this? Is it
1 liter?
1 litre. So yeah, you can buy 1 litre of pretty much, I think it's all the beers, isn't it?
Anything from the tap except the nitro porter.
Ah, I see. A bit difficult to pour.
Yeah.
Ah, I see.
It's not difficult to pour. It won't be the same as if I pour in glass.
I see.
Nitro will go away.
Ah, I see. So how much is one of the kind of, well, we call it it's not really a growler, this one, the little plastic bottle, the plastic bottle growler. Is it maybe about 3,000, was it on the menu?
Sorry?
Is it about 3,000 florins on the menu?
Yes, it's around there.
About 3,000 florins.
Depends on the beer. The smoothies are expensive.
Ah, I see. So yeah, about nine euros or so for this one. But yeah, thank you for showing us that. Cheers. Thank you, Milan. Alright guys, so a nice little segment then. This is Thomas, who is the owner, main brewer of Unity Bar and Brewery here in Budapest, and he was around, so quite happy to chat to us a little bit. So thank you for joining us first off.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for being here.
It's been good. Come and visit it, guys. If you like smoothie sours, you will have fun here for sure. So could you tell us, Thomas, like, you know, your first thing, I guess, how did you get into craft beer?
Right. As pretty much everyone else, I started as a home brewer, so it wasn't, nothing fancy. I had Brewdog's Elvis juice. That was the first one. It intrigued me. It cost a bit of money, so I was like, I can do this at home. So a couple of days later, I did my first batch, and from that point, it's just about like it's a slippery slope.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that was 10 years ago, right? And so 8 years, like 7-ish years into homebrewing, I opened this place. But kind of, yeah, it's been a lot of building up to it, and experimenting, making a lot of beer at home.
Oh yeah.
Trying to perfect the recipes and stuff, and that's how I got here to be.
Oh, okay, cool. So, did you have another kind of career before you, like, in addition to your homebrewing? Like, what did you do before that?
I worked as a sort of in the catering industry, bartender, bar management and stuff. So I didn't have like a proper job.
Oh,
just this industry. That's been my last 10 years, sort of. And it was like this was a hobby first, and then obviously it grew into a business. It took a lot of work, so it wasn't just like it was just finger snapping and that's it.
Always takes time. Yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So I know, obviously, the first thing you're going to notice when you come to Unity is there's a whole bunch of smoothie sours on the menu. So, how did you get into that style? How did you get down that rabbit hole specifically?
That was a weird one because I did a accidental 9% sour beer. That was quite. It wasn't an easy drinking one. It was like really heavy, really alcoholic. So I added some lactose to it to make like a gelato style, and that's when Funky Fluid was sort of riding the gelato kind of wave, wave. And people complained that it wasn't thick enough. So like, right, if that's actually what you want, I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
So I started experimenting with different fruit purees, and I think the third try was already sort of what I wanted it to be.
Oh yeah.
And it's been growing since. I use a lot of fruit puree, so no additives, no like there's no adjuncts and stuff. There's no chemicals involved. There's no extracts. It's fruit puree. So short shelf life, fresh ingredients, and that's why sort of tastes so good.
Oh yeah,
Because it is fresh fruit puree, and that's it. So I started experimenting and trying to combine, different fruits that would, in theory, work together, and then about 10% of them actually do work quite well. But most of them, they are sort of left on the floor, just never see the day of life.
Oh yeah. I see.
Most of them are a miss.
Oh, I
So
see.
you obviously you only see the successful experiments. I
Oh
would
yeah.
say.
Oh, okay.
There's
Well,
a lot of failed ones.
yeah. So I mean, in my opinion, I would say for me it was the kind of more berry sours that really stood out to me. At the moment when we're filming this, which is 11th July 2026, they've got a pineapple strawberry sour on tap, and for me that was the kind of standout one. You said that was very new.
It's quite new. It's the basically the newest one, I would say. The oldest fan favorite has been the raspberry mango passion fruit one, where raspberry is sort of the star of the show, and then the mango is just to back it up and to give it that slick, oily, sort of thick mouthfeel. And you've got the passion fruit just a hint of brightness in the background. So and also the names of them are in descending order of the fruits they've used.
Ah, I see.
So raspberry mango passion fruit would be raspberry mango passion fruit. So that's the amount used.
That kind of, when I think about the flavour that I got out of that one, that kind of makes sense. It
And
actually
that's
makes
true.
sense. Yeah.
So the second or the third fruit is mostly to support the main one. So there's always one star of the show, and there's one or two just supporting it.
Ah, I see.
And that's how it kind of is. And again, a lot of fruit combinations, they just straight up don't work.
Oh yeah.
They're just horrible.
Ah, I see. Yeah, that's the thing, is it's quite interesting. So if we go on to the kind of technical side a little bit, how big are your batches that you brew?
I do 600 liters. So that's my tank size. Can't do any more than that. So anything that sort of comes out, lagers and all the other ones, that's about it. And on average, they have 20 to 35 days of sales time, I would say. So within a month, most of our beers are gone.
Oh yeah.
So there's no big warehouse just keeping the warm beer there and just getting that's not what we do.
So I'm guessing the stuff, because you have got some sort of half litre 440 cans in there. Is that
500 ml? Yeah,
see.
half a liter.
So how much of each batch are you kind of canning roughly? Maybe 10%, 20%?
Yeah, not a lot. I would say on average, probably 10%. 10. With some beers, I do 20, 25. It depends on the demand, because I know a lager will be it will age better in a cellar.
Oh yeah.
So I'm confident to sort of do 200-300 cans at a time. But with the hazies, there's 150 cans.
Oh yeah.
Max.
Just,
That's about it.
Very small.
And that takes 2-3 weeks to sell, and that's it.
Oh okay.
And then once they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah, no, that's it. So if you want the Unity cans, I'm guessing only here?
And a handful of other places in Hungary, but mostly in Budapest. Yeah.
Ah, I see. Yeah, so if you want
no
to get
distribution.
Oh yeah. So and you were mentioning as well off camera that you guys are one of only 2 or 3 breweries in Hungary that do cold chain.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, the other big brewery of mine. It's a smaller city, so central Hungary, and they are the sort of they are actually sort of the crown king of IPA brewing. You have their cans in the fridge. I'm sure you've seen them. So they're the obviously in Europe and in England and in the US, it's been well known that for you to have a good quality fresh beer, you have to keep it cold.
Oh yeah.
And in Hungary, it hasn't really been adapted.
Yeah.
And we are the second or third maybe, and we're doing our best to to tell people and let them know hey, you have to keep it cold, otherwise it's just gonna go bad within a few days.
Yeah,
The beer changes when it's kept warm, and not in a good way.
Yeah. So it's about kind of promoting a sort of culture almost with it. I mean, we noticed that, but that's we spent a lot of time in Asia, so that's a big thing over there, especially with the kind of tropical heat and stuff.
Yeah, tropical heat,
so,
especially in the winter, we get -2, -3, so it's what you can leave it outside, whatever. But in the summer we had 42 degrees last week.
Oh yeah.
So that's cooking. That's cooking beer. So
yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Oh, the other thing to mention is you opened in 2023.
Yeah.
So 2023, and so
So 2024, I think.
2024.
Yeah.
Okay.
22.
We're
25, 26. Yeah, I think 24th February. Yeah.
see. So yeah, these guys. So Unity Brewing, very kind of new. Very much, I think, probably fair to say, up and coming brewery. I'm betting in the next year or two, you'll find these guys collaborating with like Arcus, Elm 11, these kind of guys. So the smoothie sours I've tried here, especially the berry ones, I've been really impressed with. So you'll maybe see this name appearing in other parts of Europe a bit more frequently in the next couple of years. When you see,
Yeah, I do hope so. Yeah.
yeah,
We're doing our best to get there. Yeah.
yeah. No, as I say, seriously impressed with the well, all the smoothie sours, but particularly the berry ones in my mind. So yeah, this is definitely one of the Hungarian breweries to keep an eye on. And yeah, thank you to Thomas for talking to us in this bit a little bit. And we'll take a pause on this one, but we've got a nice beer to try, and we'll do that in a separate segment. Catch you guys in a second. All right, guys. So Thomas was very cool and took us just back through to the brewery, which is at the back of the kind of bigger room that you saw, and just showed me his brewery. So yeah, on the left here, you've got the kind of boil kettle and mash tun. Then you've got your filtration tank. They've got a 1,000 litre tank there that's just kind of sitting, doing not a lot for the moment. And then yeah, they've got about 9 of these little 600 litre tanks here just in a room kind of that way. So yeah, all the batches are like 600 litres, very small scale. But yeah, their beer's very good. So we'll see how they scale up over the next few years. But yeah, definitely cool to have a little look at the brewery setup here. So cool to see a brewery like at such a young stage, I guess you could say too. But there you are. That's Unity Bar and Brewery in Budapest. All right, guys. So as you saw, we did a little bit of a Meet the Brewer segment with Thomas, but I thought for the last tasting, we always usually end up on something dark. The darkest beer they've got on the menu is an English Porter, which it's a style I don't get to review all that often. I do quite enjoy them, but yeah, out in Hong Kong and things like that, it's always the big imperial stouts we get, never something that's kind of lighter like this. And I did I did notice that actually a lot of your beers are quite like sessionable strengths, I guess. Yeah, so yeah, this will be quite nice.
That's one of the main things. Yeah, I enjoy having a few instead of just having like 2 double IPAs.
Oh yeah.
Like having 4 or 5 big lagers on sessions. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's something I've missed being in Asia. I have to admit, like you don't get much of the German Czech lager type stuff. So
they overdo the other things.
Oh yeah, you get
quite a bit. Yeah.
You get the big 10% triple IPAs and stuff like that. So yeah, can you introduce this one for us then?
Yeah, sure. It's essentially it's a collaboration between sort of 3 people, and the recipe is from a friend of mine who's actually a brewer here now, but he wasn't before. So and there's a place called Keg, which is essentially it's a bar and like a restaurant, and they have 32 taps, so like a huge selection, and we actually made this for them to have on tap. And adding the nitro was my idea, because that sort of takes it to the next level. Obviously, you've got the bitterness of the dark malts, like roasted barley, a lot of caramel, a lot of chocolate, and it can be very sort of acidic and thin. But if you add the nitro, like with Guinness as well, it's really thin, but the nitro saves it.
Yeah.
And it's about the same. It's got more body, so it's nice watery as Guinness. It's a lot heavier, and it's a lot more sort of coffee and cocoa like, as opposed to just like the general bitterness of Guinness.
Oh yeah, okay.
So I do prefer it, but obviously I made it, so it's not like I have to prefer it.
Well, I guess, yeah. So I mean, if you look at this, guys, you can see it's got that lovely kind of dark ebony rosewood colour that we would expect, but a half finger like frothy, kind of fawn coloured head. When it came out, it did have that nice kind of rolling cloud that you get from the nitro beers. So yeah, it looks great, exactly as you'd expect from a porter. Will we have a wee look at the aroma?
Yeah.
It's very like milky, like I would guess almost like kind of milk stout almost if I was looking at it blind.
Yeah.
So yeah, a wee bit like roasty toasty bread crust. bit of toasty brown sugar, a little bit of like rye bread, wholemeal brown bread,
Yeah.
and like
Good notes.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, like the
A
yeast.
lot of roastiness and then a bit of yeast aroma as well. Yeah.
So like the yeastiness for me is kind of like wholemeal, like brown bread, a little bit like chocolate sponge cake. Like the yeast, the malty base is quite dry but quite toasty and sweet, and the malt base is quite smooth. I think. Sorry,
Yeah.
the yeasty side
The
is
yeast,
quite
yeah,
smooth.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's an English strain, so it's
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
it's one of the original ones.
You do get a little bit of hoppiness out of it though, like earthy.
Yeah. There's a fair bit.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, we're just talking about the hops in this one. And what hops do you use in this beer?
So we haven't been able to get like fresh English hops for the last few months. So the bitter and the porter as well. So both are English beers essentially. They're made with German hops, which I know isn't sort of it's a grey area, I would say. So not everyone would agree that's acceptable, but I think it adds to it. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not like English hops have that kind of the noble sort of earthy kind of spicy notes, and Germans are less of the earthiness and more of the floral.
Oh yeah.
So it gives it just a little bit extra that I do enjoy a
Yeah,
lot.
I mean, it's funnily enough, I was telling Milan earlier that your English bitter, I actually liked it more than the English bitters that I've tried, and probably it's the German hops that do it. Like,
They do elevate it, yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think the English hops work better with like a dark malt base.
Yeah,
And like the English golden ales and stuff, it's a bit too earthy woody. But I mean, I think for me, like, yeah, you can get more of the floral and more of the grassiness, and like a little bit of like fig and blackcurrant maybe out of this one.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah. But obviously, the dark notes, they do kind of get the fig kind of flavor, like aroma flavor. So you got that to it.
Yeah. Well, it smells nice anyway. Should we dig in?
Yeah.
So you need to teach me how to say cheers in Hungarian properly.
Yeah, it's always difficult because it's egészségedre, but obviously like most foreigners they just can't say it.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a short version which we just say eggy.
Eggy.
It's like an egg, like a small egg,
Yeah.
eggy.
Yeah,
and that's it.
I've been saying that in a few. So what's it? Egészségedre.
Egészségedre.
Egészségedre. There we go. So egészségedre. And thank you for joining for this. Yeah. It's actually like a little bit sharper on the
Yeah.
beginning. Like it's a wee bit kind of. Did you say? Yeah, you get a bit more like the kind of fruitiness at the beginning, and then like it shows its porter side a bit more into the aftertaste.
Towards the end, yeah.
Yeah.
Still like the acids from the malt, so it's still quite especially as it's warming up because this was poured like almost 10 minutes ago.
Oh, yeah.
So it's been sitting around to warming up, and as it warms up, it becomes more acidic.
Ah, I see.
So,
Okay.
so you do taste more of the tannins from the dark malts.
Ah, I see. Okay.
And when it's like ice cold, when it's actually served at 0 degrees essentially, which I know is too cold for darker beers, but that's the only system we have.
Yeah.
And most of our beers come through it, so we don't have a choice.
Oh, yeah.
But as it starts warming up, you do get that sort of more acidic finish.
Ah, I see. Okay.
And then you've got the nitro head, which is a bit kind of sweet note, and then it just sort of
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. For me, as I say, like when you first take this one in, like just behind the kind of front tip of your tongue, you're going to get a little bit of like it's almost like a. I don't know, Venice is the right word. You just get that really sharp red fruity thing there, and it like rolls out further back, and then kind of middle and back third of your palate, like roasty, toasty bread crust, bit of like a sort of dense, like Swedish, Danish knäckebröd cracker, rye bread, wholemeal brown bread, a wee bit of nuttiness, then yeah, toasty brown sugar, a bit of leathery brown sugar, and then like, into the aftertaste, it's got a wee bit of like sweet caramel, I think, and biscuit maybe. Like
there's a lot of biscuit malt in it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like McVitie's digestive biscuit for sure. And
Oh, yeah.
again, like you're. This is an interesting one because yeah, the malty base is quite like smooth. It's quite like dry and toasty and slightly sweet on top. But yeah, the yeasty side of this beer is very very smooth. So like for me, the yeast like on the back of the palate is like rye bread at the core, and as you move out, like more wholemeal brown bread, and then like a toasty bread crust, I think. So yeah, the yeast gives you the more dryness, and the malt well, it gives you a bit of smoothness, but the malt base is more kind of dry and toasty. Yeah, the hops actually show you do get a bit more earthiness out of it. To be fair,
You still get it because I use that a fair bit. So I do like my hops sort of to be always trying to do beer. Even when it's like a malt forward, like obviously like both this and the bitter, they're both malt forward obviously.
Yeah.
So it's not about the hops, but it does add a lot to it, and I do enjoy it. So
oh yeah. Because I mean, it's for me like you do actually this beer, as I say, it comes in quite sharp, it mellows out, gives you the smoothness, and then it's more bitter into the aftertaste. So, is it? I think
as a nitro phase kind of, it starts becoming more bitter and acidic.
Yeah, no, 'cause I mean, I think like back corners of the palate, definitely earthy, like a wee bit woody and herbal for the forwards and floral in the front corners, and then quite brassy, like quite the green part of it's a bit more noble.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then like the front third you have all those bready things and the fruitiness. And I think what lingers there, it's like a little bit of fig and a little bit of black currant, but like the fruitiness, the sharpness, it's like raisins almost and blackberries in the beginning.
Berries is good. That's a good note. Yeah.
But I think mouthfeel wise, I'd say it's kind of like sort of bottom end of mid-bodied. I mean, it's very smooth, very, very creamy. The carbonate, well, they say carbonation, you can't really say that with a nitro beer, technically speaking.
Nitrogenation or whatever.
Yeah. Well, the gas, let's put it that way. The gas. It's obviously very, very smooth, as you'd expect from nitro. I'm very curious with this because my IBU counter's always a bit. I want to say 50 or 60 IBUs.
About 30,
30?
35, yeah.
See,
But it's the acidity and the dark malts, the tannins, they do add a lot of bitterness as well. So bitterness and acidity, and as you decrease the acidity, or increase the acidity, I would say, so decrease the pH, the bitterness, the perception of it goes up. So that's why it tastes a lot more bitter than it is.
Oh yeah,
So even if you like if you skip the hops from this like completely, it would still be bitter from the roasted barley.
Okay.
It's like just so acidic and so bitter.
Yeah, 'cause
it burns more basically.
Oh yeah, I mean that's one of the things. Like you can get that. You say sometimes dryness and bitterness kind of almost merge together a wee bit. So that kind of affects what you think in terms of IBU.
Exactly.
But yeah.
In fact, it affects your taste.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, so there's another point for you guys. Don't listen to me when it comes to IBUs on dark beers. I'm always going to get it wrong. But yeah, backbone, toasty and like roasty, toasty and be smooth in the middle, dry and sweet on top. Yeah, wee bit of sharper fruitiness in the beginning, mellows out, and 30 IBUs, which I thought was going to be 60. So there we go. But no, really interesting to try this one. And we've gone from lager to hazy IPA to smoothie sour now to porter with this one. So we've seen a whole bunch of stuff that you do, and I have to say it's pretty damn solid. So yeah, it's good. So but I think that the standouts for me probably have to be the smoothie sours, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what most people say. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. So yeah, guys, this is a name you definitely want to keep an eye out for. Thank you to Thomas for joining us for this one, and it's always cool when we get the chance to do a tasting with the brewer. So yeah, it's very cool. So yeah, this one it's just called Unity Keg Till English Porter.
Yeah, so Unity, obviously us. Keg is the other blade that we actually made it for, and Till is the surname of the brewer that came up with the original recipe. We've tweaked it since, and he's my new brewer here. So
okay.
Yeah, it's come full round.
It's gone full round. It's gone full circle. There we go. But yeah, 4.3%, nice kind of nitrogenated, whatever you want to say, English porter. So let's leave it at that for this one, and I'll catch you guys in just a second. Thank you again to Thomas for joining us. Alright guys, so just a very, very quick look at the merch and things like that. I don't know if you saw it earlier, but yeah, this was the symbol sitting on the front of the bar there. The bar area is very nice, incidentally. But just let you have a little look at that logo once again. But yeah, if we come in, you can see you can buy all the different little stickers and things like that. Lots of different colours, and then you can buy one of the glasses for 2,000 florins as well. So remember 1,000 florins is about €3 roughly, £2.50 sterling, something like that. So yeah, you can get your stickers here. There's not really t-shirts and stuff yet, but I'm sure that's something they'll get to in the near future. But there you are. Right guys, well that is the end of our time then here at Unity Bar and Brewery on Kirali Utka, Kirali Street, whatever you want to call it, in Budapest. So yeah, as I often say, we had a really nice couple of hours here. It was awesome. A massive shout out to Milan behind the bar and also Thomas, the main brewer and owner. They were both awesome. So if you come here, make sure you talk to them. Lovely, lovely people. I'm finding that with the Hungarians. They are really, really kind people. Their language is impossible. I can't even say really thank you or cheers properly in it yet. But yeah, they're always very, very nice and always happy to share a little bit about their culture and language and things like this. So yeah, do make sure you say hello to Thomas and Milan if you find yourself here. So when it comes to the beers at the brewery, of course, we started off with the Pilsner, which was really interesting actually, a more brown bready and kind of bitter take on the style, which I really enjoyed. Then we went on to the Hazy IPA, which was quite oaty leaning, but a little bit drier, in fact, in the style category as well. Then we tried the English Bitter, which was a nice surprise. Apparently it was brewed with German hops, which is maybe why I liked it a little bit more than I tend to like English brewed English bitters. So yeah, that kind of made sense when Thomas told me that. But then yeah, we went on to the smoothie sours after that. We started with the tropical ones. They were very, very nice, really enjoyed them, but the standouts for me were the more kind of berry-leaning ones, particularly the pineapple and strawberry ones. So yeah, but they were all the kind of berry-leaning ones were great. Those were the standout beers for me. And then after that, of course, we finished off with a little look at the porter. And it was really cool to do the little interview with Thomas as well, and then a little bit more about his kind of brewing journey and the company and things like that. So like I say, very, very nice people working here, very nice people behind the company. In total, the cost of everything that Amanda and I ate and drank was about, I think it was 18,000 florins, and then of course I left a 15% tip on top of that, so it came out just over 20,000 florins. That's roughly about €60, maybe about £52 sterling, something like that. I guess about $65 American. So very, very good value. You've got some great beers here, and like I said, I think these guys are very much a kind of up and coming brewery. The quality of the smoothie sours is awesome. So yeah, I can see these guys doing very well if they collaborate with a few of the other European breweries like Arpus and Elm 11 and things like that are a bit more established in this style, and that will of course help them get their name out there a little bit more. But yeah, this brewery is definitely one to check out. As I said, Unity Bar and Brewery on Kirali Utka, Kirali Street, whatever you want to call it, in Budapest. So yeah, once again, thank you for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know your own thoughts on Unity Bar and Brewery in the comment section below. Let me know some other Hungarian breweries I should check out as well. And yeah, check out my social media, check out Unity Bar and Brewery social media as well. And I'll catch you guys on the next Out and About video. Slàinte, skål, cheers, and Iggy. Still can't say it. Iggy.